Hi, I haven't recorded a video for YouTube for quite a while now, and I'm going to do the same topic on my videos I'm going to do on my podcast this week, because I thought it might be useful to watch me doing this week's work. I've got a very annoying fly in the office, so I'm going to try and ignore him and hope he doesn't get in the way of the video too much. Now, I had a message from someone who listens to my podcast, and he wanted to talk about the difference between the T and the L in terms of tongue placement. It's a really good question, and some of these things we take for granted. We think that we all know the answers to these ones, but do we? What we've got to do is we've got to take it back to the phonetics, back to the classification of these sounds. The T is a plosive sound. So the T creates this tiny explosion in the mouth. And the L is a lateral sound. So the sound is going to escape laterally, which refers to a sideways movement of sound. The other thing to remember is T is generally unvoiced. So it's an unvoiced or voiceless plosive sound. Whereas the L is a voiced sound, so it's a lateral voiced consonant. If we want to get completely technical, the T is an unvoiced alveolar plosive consonant, because we use the alveolar ridge to create it. Now, the alveolar ridge is just behind your top front teeth. It's a funny bumpy bit of your mouth. And when you're run down or feeling under stress, then this is a place that quite often gets sore or reflects that you're a bit under the weather quite quickly. So you might find putting the tongue just there painful if you're coming down with a cold or something. It might be swollen, or if you eat too many salty snacks, it can get quite inflamed as well. So it's an important part of the mouth, and good oral hygiene will help to keep that area healthy. So ensure that you use mouthwash, basically, and then really rinse out your mouth after toothpaste. So the plosive so I'm tucking my tongue just behind my top front teeth, using the alveolar ridge. I'm completely blocking the passage of the air. And as I bring the tongue down, we get that explosion of air, because the air is compressed in the lungs. When the tongue blocks it, then it explodes forward, and that's why it's called a plosive sound. And there's no vibration of the vocal cords for this sound. Whereas the L, now the tongue is still there. It's still at the alveolar ridge, but we're using the voice, L. And I find that actually on my tongue, I'm using a lot more of the curve of my tongue to make the L sound, L. The tongue is much more relaxed, and in fact, there are several different ways to produce the L, including what's known as the dark L, which is the L after vowels and things. So if I said ill, I use a lot more of that curve of my tongue, ill. I can really feel lots of contact. Whereas if I said lateral, the first L uses much less of the tip of the tongue. If I show you from my phonetics dictionary, there's a good picture in here. And you can see here that we've got the tongue is really quite flat against the top of the mouth, and the whole tongue is risen up there. And this is Daniel Jones' book. Whereas the T, when you look at the phonetic drawing of the tongue position, it does look a little different. Can you see that the tongue's a bit flatter for that sound? So thinking from a very mechanical point of view, just use the tip of your tongue for the and use more of that curve of your tongue for the l. So let's try some words that they suggest in Daniel Jones' book. So Thomas, there's that nice sharp Thomas. We also find it with ED words that become that T sound, packed. If I packed my bag. We don't make a D sound, we don't say packed, we say packed. I packed my bag. I missed you. Or the mist is falling. You know, those are both making that lovely sound at the end. Rushed, raft, time, take, ascertain, all words like that. And if you, oh, here we go, tell, tin, attack, task, top. I'm really pressing my tongue really firmly up there. Toast, time, or I've said time, turn, tour, toy. So lots of different T words. And these lists of words, you don't have to buy, obviously you don't have to buy complex phonetics books to get lists of words. Not thank you, Mr. Google. We can just look them up. Scrabble websites are really useful for lists of words beginning with certain sounds. And shall we just do a few L sounds as well, just to balance it up? So now I'm using the full curve of the front of my tongue into this sound. Say leave, lake, along, million, million, million. Feel, there's that dark L because it's following the vowel sound. Feel, much more of my tongue, it's almost touching all the way around. Field, people, that's let, look, collar, belt. Ooh, that's a good example because it's got the L followed by the T. Belt. So I can feel that my tongue changes position between the two sounds. Excellent. People said that. Now, L isn't always pronounced and T isn't always pronounced. Soften and often both have silent T's. You will find silent L's in words like half, calf. They are spelled with L's, but they're not pronounced. What else have we got here? Balm, calm, palm, and of course the L just contributes to the vowel sound in could, would, and should. So lots of things to think about there, but summarising, the T is a plosive consonant and just the tip of the tongue to the alveolar ridge to compress the air, block the passageway, and then release suddenly to make that plosion. The L is much more of the tongue reaching around the mouth. L. It's almost touching all the way around my teeth. L. L. When I make it after a vowel sound, sorry, that's feel. It's much more of the tongue. And light, it's the broader tip of the tongue being used rather than the pointy tip. So that's the summary. So if you need any more information about elocution, or you'd like to listen to my podcast or book a free consultation or even a lesson, please do go to my website, midwintertuition.co.uk. I'm also offering an online course now. It's 3 lessons which are delivered at weekly intervals into your inbox, and it comes from Coursecraft. So if you look up Coursecraft and then look for my elocution course, the link is on my website as well, and it's 3 lessons for £45. It's all self-learning, so there's no one-to-one tuition, but there are videos and audio tracks as part of it. Keep in contact, info@midwintertuition.co.uk. Keep practicing. Goodbye.